Hi again. Today I wanted to expound a little bit on a previous one that I did regarding sacrifices and what sacrifices may or may not look like. Um, I touched on, how grateful I was to have this old washing machine, and it's not in a laundry room or anything like that. It's just stuck in an old apartment bathroom here on our property. That the apartment became my studio, which is where I'm sitting. Um, it's just here and I'm grateful for it. I was able to do a load of laundry earlier today. So, for me, that's not a sacrifice. For me, that's a joy. The sacrifice for me was going to a laundromat for nearly a year and, um, saving up quarters every single week and making sure I had dollar bills to change into quarters if I didn't have enough coin, things of that nature. And even then, looking at it now, I want to quantify it and I want to. I'm thinking people are going to call you ungrateful because, oh my God, she had to go to a laundromat. It was weird for me having to do that every day because I hadn't had to use laundry machines since I was in my 20s. In my head, the way I work it out is I'm a middle aged woman. I'm intelligent. I'm capable of doing jobs. I have like two different sources of money right now, and there's no excuse for me to not have some modicum of convenience at my hands. But I didn't have it. So what I should or shouldn't have had, irrelevant. I didn't have it. Um, I'm grateful that I had a laundromat less than 2 miles from my house. That was very convenient. That was nice. And the machines pretty much worked all the time. Or at least, call it 80% of the machines in the room worked all the time. So that's something to be grateful for. That's something to be happy about. Um, but on the outside looking in, we looked a little more downtrodden than I thought we did. um, the offer for a dryer was thrown at me, and it was the sweetest gesture on the earth. This person wanted very desperately for me not to suffer even more than what I already seemingly am. And, it took me a second to say, no, 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 I have a dryer for this washer. It's okay. I just have nowhere to put it right now. I don't have an outlet to plug it into. We're still dealing with remodeling and electrical and plumbing and all of these things. And I just don't have the space for it at this exact moment. But thank you. I'll use a line. And then on the days that I can't use my line, if I have to, the laundromat is down the street. I'll just load it all up and bring it all to a dryer and dry it and walk away. It's not that big a deal. Um, and it's still more convenient than what I was doing, which was waiting until I went to visit my family and packing up 2 baskets full and, using up all my mom's water. um, in that, I've had to do a lot of thinking on the difference between needs versus wants. I have an old friend who was raised in a very, very similar way as I was, mentally, like from the familial, these are your values approach. And what he had often said with regard to children, anyone under the age of about 17 or 18 years old, it was children do not have wants, they only have needs. The first few times I heard it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what my parents always said. And as I've gotten older, I've discovered that that is an extremely toxic, really sick way to look at young people. You strip away their ability to want anything, anything. They grow up to be adults who either want everything and will chase it down come hell or high water, or they kind of become like me, neurotic over that word. The word want for me is a 4-letter word akin to every other swear word in the dictionary. My life has rarely been based on things I wanted. it has been based on things I needed or things that I could obtain fairly easily. Even if it took a little work, at least I could obtain it. When my husband and I were dating and we'd go into a store and I'd see something cute, whether it was clothes or a thing or, whatever, he would look at me and he'd say, "Do you need that?" And the first thing out of my mouth would be, "No, I want it. I don't need it." Well, it's the same thing. No, it's really not. I can live without that. My life is not based on whether or not I have that blouse. I have plenty of work clothes. I wear a uniform to work, so who cares? I don't need it. Would I like to have it? Absolutely, because it's cute. And I'd like, to have some clothes that aren't t-shirts, blue jeans, and work uniforms at the time. So that has remained a thing throughout our life. And up to right now, remodeling this house has been a trial for me. I've never, ever seen a relative, a close friend, anything throughout my youth. Never saw anybody remodel anything up close and personal. I saw people like maybe repair a floor that was busted. Ring hang doors, paint walls. I've seen that. I've seen small scale do it because it just needs it. This is about to fall apart, needs it. Or mom got tired of looking at paneling, so she bought $5 screw up paint and decided to paint with it. That's what I've seen. I have not been personally exposed to like the home improvement shows where the people are standing there going, "Oh yeah, this is the color palette we picked, and these are the stones, and this is the tile." They don't talk about the prices. They talk about their budget beginning and ending, but that's it. And 9 times out of 10, they go over that budget, and it's usually a very, very vast amount of money, or what is to me a vast amount of money. I have different takes on what is a lot of money and what isn't. To me, $50 is a lot of money. To someone else, it's chump change. But this remodel has been hard for me, even though we have an amazing contractor who is extremely generous and has done amazing things by us. The fact that my husband and I have gone in there and done quite a bit of the work ourselves, and will continue to do quite a bit of the work ourselves, to our own ability, and possibly even beyond to a certain degree. YouTube videos are outstanding. Thank you, professionals and semi-professionals, for putting your stuff online. We appreciate it. I don't feel like I have the luxury. I don't feel like I have the luxury to sit back and say, "I want this color palette, and I want this, and I want that, and we're going to have all new towels." I can say it all day long. You know what? It ain't going to happen. I'm going to walk into those bathrooms with the same blue and gray towels I've been using for the last 5-10 years. I'm going to walk into those bathrooms with the rugs that I brought from the other house. I'm not going to go to Bed Bath & Beyond or Macy's or, any of these places, any of these stores. I'm not going in there armed with a $1,000 gift card to redo an entire room. That's a pipe dream, and it's just not going to happen. Unless I win the lottery tomorrow, and we know that's not going to happen either. Come on, that's a pipe dream too. So I have always made do with what is in front of me. Apartments are very cookie cutter. They're very exact. There's no painting. There's no changing. You walk in, you keep it clean, you make do with the hot point appliances that are in front of you, and you shut your mouth. When I moved in with my husband, I made do with the house that he had. I was told that I needed to love it. So I did the best I could with what I had. And that's the way I was raised. That your wants are totally irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Want in one hand and do something in the other and see which one fills up first. Um, yeah, we can make the argument, well, if you work hard enough, you'll get whatever you'll get what you want. You just have to work really, really, really hard to get it. But then on that flip side of the coin, those same people will say, well, you shouldn't work your life away. You've got to enjoy it. So which is it? So I'm only supposed to enjoy what I wanted on Saturdays, on Sundays, between chores. So am I supposed to work my life away to obtain these things? Or am I supposed to have the things? Like, which is it? It's not an easy equation. It's not an easy process, and it's not an easy mental thing to sort through. It's very, very confusing when you are raised in a very minimal lifestyle. And it's minimal not because your parents were minimalists. It's minimal because they didn't have anything. They made the best of what they had, so that's what they taught you to do. And now you're in life and you're sitting back saying, okay, well, I'm going to make the best of what I have. I'm not going to waste. So you don't waste, because wastefulness is, it's wrong, right? I guess what I'm describing could just be very easily described as money insecurities. I didn't come from wealthy people by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, we were poverty line. When I came to this town to come to college, over those years, I dated, I had boyfriends, this, that, and the other, and 2 of the serious relationships I had have been with trust fund kids. Or, I'm not meaning that to be derogatory. They came from families that had enough wealth that they could set their children up to either send them to college without student loans, or they were able to say, okay, here, there's a dividend for you at a certain point in your adulthood to make your life a little better. Whether it was, hundreds of thousands, or maybe it was only 20 or 30,000, just something, maybe a down payment on a home, or maybe buy one car outright, something of that nature. And I understand those figures are arbitrary. I do understand that. But when you're talking to a person who came from literal strict poverty, and you introduce them to a human being who's like, well, it's nothing to have 2 cars. We need a spare. We need what now? No, one of us needs a bus pass in case the other one has the car all day. That's what we need. It's not an easy thing to reconcile. It's not an easy thing to take these 2 extremely opposing viewpoints and pull them together, or even pull them close. Because one is never going to fully understand the other. And it doesn't matter how many times you explain it. It doesn't matter how many times you sit down and say, I saw my parents have vehicles repossessed, or I saw them file bankruptcy and have to lose one in favor of the other. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you try to explain to them, my family was on food stamps for a period of time, and now I need to be on it for a minute. You can't explain this to someone that was not their norm, and who didn't live in a neighborhood where people being on public assistance was a norm. It doesn't compute. Just like on the flip side of the house, it's not going to compute to that person who came from that other background, that poorer background. It's not going to compute for them how having more than one vehicle isn't extremely excessive to the point of just complete frivolousness. Especially if you live inside an incorporated place. If you live in a town where taxis and buses regularly pass, why doesn't your kid know how to ride the bus to get to the mall? It's just, here again, it's not going to compute. It's not going to register how they can be kind of flippant with their checkbook. Oh, well, there's more. It'll be better. What if it's not? These things aren't simple. It isn't cut and dry. It isn't black and white. And I think that going through this whole process with the pandemic, going through this process with the oil field crashing this past year, the storms, all the things that have happened that have just taken our economy and just stomped all over it, taken some of our comforts and just even a little bit just kind of snatched them. There were people who found amazing comforts in the midst of all of this trash. Some of us were sitting back going, I was already halfway prepared for it, so we're just going to let the storm blow a little bit and we're going to coast. That's what I did. We didn't do extremely poorly, but we damn sure didn't rise. We just sort of stayed in stasis this past year. But the money insecurities are still there. And they're going to be there until something drastically changes. Even though I know in the back of my mind that, therapy says if you keep waiting for the drastic change, if you keep looking, searching, trying to achieve the next thing, and you don't accept where you are right now, you're never going to find any peace. So, me personally, that's what I'm working on, is trying to find inner peace with the fact that my life is not where I want it to be. It's close, but it's not there. This isn't what I expected. And yeah, here again, bust out the phrase, expectations ruin blah, blah, blah. Expectations ruin relationships, expectations ruin pretty much everything. So what do we do? What's the answer? One of the answers is be grateful for what you have in front of you. Okay, well, I'm grateful for my washing machine sitting over here in this little friggin', crapped out bathroom. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I have a nice laptop that I can take this video on. But am I, in that gratitude, am I allowed to be upset that maybe I don't think I spent my money wisely enough and maybe I could have done more on that house over the summer? Is it okay to have that? Is it okay to have that disappointment? The constant search for validation in the midst of all of these weird little idiosyncrasies that we carry around with us every day. Are we allowed? At what point am I allowed to be disappointed in my life? At what point am I allowed to be disappointed in anything, really? Just food for thought, not, begging for, oh my God, validate me. Okay, yeah, validate me, please. It's been a tricky last decade for me. I went from one massive upheaval, and now 10 years have cycled. 7 years gone by. What is it they say? We're different people every 7 years, both molecularly and in every other possible way. We're totally different people every 7 years. So I've been through, a couple of 7-year changes, or a few. And now we've cycled a full decade from my last major just eruption. The last time my life erupted into just total change. I had to move out of my home. My husband left me. My child went into middle school. Like all of these things, just all at one time. So maybe that's part of all of this. Maybe it's a 10-year thing. Maybe I'm looking at a cycle and I'm waiting for an eruption. So the insecurities are right here. They're just like right there. I don't know. That's interesting. I might have to dig into that a little bit. But I guess, like with all things, we'll see how it all goes and we'll see how it all works its way around. In the meantime, I'm going to continue washing clothes in my not new, but new to me, fabulous washing machine. And I feel like I have Project ADD because I have a chair that's sitting right over there that I've ripped about 2/3 of the fabric off of, and I haven't gone any further. But we'll get there. My cat decided to give me a nice little reminder of who's boss on New Year's Day. So that was fun. So okay, that was my chat today. Sacrifices. What are truly our sacrifices? What do they mean? And that bleeds into, what are you insecure about? What sacrifices have you made over life that at some point have turned into an insecurity? So, tell me about it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's something I can work out on camera for you, or maybe for myself, and maybe it'll help you too. I don't know. But I appreciate your time. Thanks for visiting with me today. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks.